Minister, as a nation, I think we have done very well with dealing with COVID-19 to date, primarily due to the huge sacrifice made by our people, but I don't take from the crucial role that you have played in that regard either. But we do have a very difficult time ahead as we look to next winter and what's going to happen. As you know, our hospital sector is set up in clusters. In the Midwest, the area that I know best, we have the University Hospital in Duradoyle, which is a Tier 4 hospital, which takes acute patients. And then we have Ennis, Nenagh and St John's, which is a Tier 2 hospital. Now, all COVID patients in the area that require hospitalisation are sent into Limerick. And that places obviously a huge burden on the hospital in Limerick, as it does in all hospitals that it's in. Because there's almost a segregation now in the accident and emergency between COVID patients and non-COVID patients. And obviously, the two can't come into contact with one another. Now, if we have patients in corridors, there's almost an inevitability of cross-infection, almost an inevitability that people who went to hospital with a broken hip, an elderly person who falls has a broken hip, etc., that they will come into contact with COVID, and it could have disastrous repercussions for them and their broader community if they go back into that community. So there are huge challenges that lie ahead. Now, Limerick has been consistently the most overcrowded hospital in this state. We're not second-class people in the Midwest. We deserve, 100 years after the foundation of this state, we deserve a decent healthcare system. Today, in the middle of summer, there are 35 patients on a trolley in Limerick. And I bring this to your attention now because I can only imagine what lies ahead for me, my family, my neighbours, and the people that I represent. And most of all, the patients in that hospital and the doctors and nurses who have to work there in those conditions. Now, we know that only people who need acute care should be going into Limerick, and all others should be being treated in the Tier 2 hospitals. That's what we were promised when this structure was set up, and that isn't what has happened to date. Now, I'm not here to apportion blame for the past and what hasn't happened up to now, but this desperately needs to happen now. In the COVID committee, the hospital consultants representative was sitting in exactly the chair that you're in now, and he said that it wasn't because hospital consultants weren't prepared to go out and provide care and provide outpatient services in Nenagh and Limerick and St John's. So what I want to know is what is now planned to make sure that only those who need to go to Limerick, and those who can be treated in the other hospitals are treated in them. That will involve a huge escalation in the capability of Ennis to deal with the local injuries unit and the medical assessment unit, as well as outpatient facilities, so that we don't have this overcrowding, which almost looks inevitable now. It's like looking at a car crash from 6 months away. Minister, there's a minute and a half, and I would urge you to provide some succour to the people of Clare.
I want to thank Deputy McNamara for his questions and thank him for his work on the COVID committee as well, and the engagement he's having with my department and the health service in that regard as well. Look, in the time available to me, let me acknowledge the Midwest has been failed for decades in terms of bed numbers. And I'm not here to apportion blame either, but we all know the story. Changes were made, beds were promised, beds never came. I can go through the list of the beds coming now, I won't do that, but obviously we have the 60-bed modular being built now, and we have 48 other beds, 24 and 24, due to come on stream this summer. That's a big help. But I think the Deputy is entirely correct. Capacity in and of itself won't be enough, because the hospital was already extremely busy. These beds are nearly owed beds, if you like, legacy beds that they should have had years ago. And we know that in addition to the hospital already being busy, we know now that the capacity constraints of COVID are going to place further pressures. So I agree with the Deputy that there's going to need to be a change in patient flow. Now that's not getting back into, I'm just being honest, I'm not proposing reopening EDs and the likes. I'm not proposing that, but I am proposing that we make better use of our Model 2 hospitals. I have spoken to the CEO of the HSE in relation to this. I've also started to engage with the INMO, SIP2 Health, we'll be engaging with the IMO about different pathways of care to keep people out of the level 4s where it's appropriate to do so in the first instance, and I'd be happy to engage with the Deputy more substantively on this point.
Thanks, Mr.
greatly welcome the fact that, you know, there's a movement towards treating those. I accept not everybody will be able to be treated in Clare, but those who can be treated in Clare need to be treated in Clare. We do need more facilities there. I don't wish to take time from my colleague. Thank you.